Hi, welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make Brussels sprouts the right way. Everybody who thinks about Brussels sprouts normally is like, yuck, I never eat those things. Most basic parts of this recipe are that you should cut your Brussels sprouts in half. You need some sort of fat and you need an onion to start it with. So with that, let's get started. We're just kind of sauteing some onions and some carrots really quickly. There's a little bit of olive oil around in the pan, and again, I'm using my enameled cast iron Dutch oven. So we will let that just continue to simmer and kind of cook out. I'll put the heat down to low. We are going to prep some Brussels sprouts. Always have a small bowl at the side so that you are able to just throw all your scraps right into it. I'm going to go ahead and actually quarter these Brussels sprouts because these are kind of big. Scraps in one, good stuff in the other pan. You know, I think Brussels sprouts actually get a really bad rap most of the time, and this is a food that I have come to really enjoy. I don't think you can really make them a bad way. I think they're always better if you cook them on a stove. I guess I'll say it like that. As long as you kind of like sear the edges in some sort of fat. If you don't do that and you boil them, then I think they would be really bad. But if you can just kind of, you know, add, say, olive oil, a little salt, a little bit of pepper, and stick them in a pan, even with bacon. Bacon is fantastic with Brussels sprouts. And let them kind of get a nice brown on the outside and then let them soften and cook through the middle, then they're perfect. I think you'll really enjoy them. They're also really good for you. So if you're looking to get an extra vegetable side onto your table and you don't really know how to do it, this would be one that's super good for you. So I'm going to go ahead and add my Brussels sprouts right into the pan with the oil, the carrots, and red onion. Give them a good stir. The other vegetable that I have sitting here beside me is a butternut squash. I actually put it through the food processor yesterday, so it's kind of gotten a little bit discolored, but it's still fine. I was able to pull this out of the refrigerator and it's already been prepped for me, so it's kind of a win-win situation. You get to use something that's right out of your refrigerator, you already did all the work, and it's going to taste really good when we're all said and done with it. So I'm going to let the Brussels sprouts cook a little bit longer because they are a much harder vegetable than a butternut squash, especially shredded like this. So I'm going to cover this and actually let it kind of steam and cook in there on low heat for about at least 10 more minutes, and then I will go ahead and add my butternut squash. So I've been letting my Brussels sprouts kind of cook down in this pan. They're looking really good. They're starting to get tender. Give it a quick stir. I'm actually going to turn my heat up a little bit. They're also kind of starting to get a nice brown on things on the bottom. You can see some of them from just letting them sit for that amount of time. Some of them have a good char on it. There's a good picture. And that's actually a good thing. You don't want these Brussels sprouts to be weepy without any brown to them. That's just gross. Like, nobody wants to eat Brussels sprouts like that. So let them get that brown color on them. It makes them better. So let that go. So this right here is good. I'm going to go ahead and add the butternut squash. And let that start to cook down in here with my Brussels sprouts. It's going to be colorful. Give this a good toss. If you feel like things are sticking to the bottom of your pan, it's always good to add a little bit of oil, so I'm going to do that too. If my husband can't cook, he can at least hand me the ingredients. So, a little extra olive oil. Gonna do a little bit more salt and a little bit of pepper in here. Give that a stir. And then I'm going to cover it and let it kind of continue to do its thing. Don't burn yourself. Cover that. And periodically check it. Don't let it go more than probably 4 minutes at a time because you don't want anything to burn on the bottom of your pan. You hear that sizzle? That's a good thing. This is going to blend really nicely together because your Brussels sprouts have, you know, that hearty flavor. Some people think it's stinky, but I really don't think it is. And then your butternut squash is going to have that nice sweetness to it. So it's going to be a really good balance on flavor. The red onion just makes it look purple. I love purple. So do my girls. And we'll give that a couple more minutes. So I made a side dish that was primarily vegetarian. It included Brussels sprouts, had butternut squash, and I just thought, okay, I don't want to eat only this for a meal. It is a great side, but I needed some sort of protein to go with it. So I didn't know what else to do, and I basically opened my refrigerator and freezer and said, okay, what do I have and what's fast? That's another big thing that I think good cooks should know how to do. You have to be able to use what you have. You shouldn't have to run to the grocery store every time you're prepping a meal for yourself. So what I found was I had frozen meatballs already done. You can just buy them at the store. When you're there next time, just pick up a bag, throw it in your freezer, and then when you're, you know, limited on time and options, this is one of the perfect things that is a time saver and ends up in a good product. So what I'm going to do with these meatballs today is just make a basic barbecue sauce, and it involves brown sugar, ketchup, a little bit of water, and Worcestershire. Can't say that word. Sauce, a little garlic powder, salt and pepper, and just mix it all together and let your meatballs kind of marinate in that goodness and cook them through, and then they can be served with basically any side dish that you want to eat with it. So with that, let me show you how to do it. What I started over here is actually just, I'm cooking dinner for myself right now, so I want to have a protein. So I pulled some meatballs just that I had frozen in the freezer, and I added about, I don't know, there's probably there's like 2 cups of meatballs in here, frozen meatballs. And then I added like a 1/4 cup of ketchup, and I added a little bit of brown sugar, and I'm gonna add some garlic powder to it, some salt and some pepper just to kind of even things out. And I'm just kind of letting them boil and steep away over here so that I have some sort of protein side along with my Brussels sprouts. These are bubbling away nicely. Let me go ahead and grab that garlic and add a little bit more to it. Turn the heat down on that. So, little garlic, a little bit of pepper, and I'm also going to add parsley to that right now. So you're looking at me like, who has this humongous jar of parsley? And I do, because I grew it last summer and I dried it all in a dehydrator, and now I have it to use, and it is super good and super fresh. So it's very, very easy to do. If you have the space and you want to do something like that, would highly recommend growing your own herb garden. Slow upkeep, and you always have things whenever you want them, and you don't have to run to a grocery store to go get them. So I added a little bit of sugar to these meatballs, and you can see that like this bubbling and boiling, the sugar will actually caramelize a bit and will help it to turn into a bit of a sauce and give it a nice smoky sweet taste. I'm also going to add a little Worcestershire sauce to this. Give that a couple good shakes. And give that a stir around. So turn that down on low, cover that back up. Okay, so now my Brussels sprouts and my squash have perfectly cooked down with the lid on there at the very end. Turn the heat off and we're ready to put it on a plate. The other thing that I ended up cooking for this meal was some meatballs, so I'm just going to put it on the side here. I'm going to top it again with a little bit more parsley just because I think it makes it pretty. Please like, subscribe, and share this video. Tune back in soon to learn more tips and tricks and learn how to become a better cook.